All right, Cyber Traders, right on back here this Tuesday or this Monday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Great to have all of us though here, June 30th. Great to have Debbie, Scott. I saw Bill just before, Sharon, Genevieve, Scott. All of us just joining us here, Jeff as well. Let me get a quick sound check to begin. Make sure everyone got me here loud and clear. Again, just on a different setup at least for the next day and a half, but we're good just before we came off our live workshop just a moment ago. Traders Talk. I just listened back on the audio. In fact, actually, I should have some pretty damn good audio, right? Actually, came out pretty good. Bill, Kath, Dave, Clarence, great to see you. Scott, John, Kevin, likewise as well. And if you're joining us on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works. There we go. Right, popping up. Up. Wait for it. Oh, it's not the blue one. Okay, all right. Corner left, right there, the white label popping up at Cyber Trading U is our handle. If you're new to our YouTube, new to our stream, new to our platform, just there's the handle right there at Cyber Trading U. Just the big red follow or subscribe button right down below. But with that, I'll tell you what, we've had a hell of a day already. A lot of talking, a lot of coaching, a lot of class. But with that, let's jump right into the thick of it here. Rigetti, RGTI is up over 8.5%. It's right where we want it here heading into the afternoon, pretty much at the highs. So I know Fausto called this out earlier in the audio broadcast that we normally do each morning. So, the other quantums weren't looking as good, honestly, like QBTS, QUBT, IONQ, not as good as this at first. But actually, I'll tell you what, Debbie just made a nice call out on the QUBT. This is up now pretty much as much percent as the Rigetti, but just in terms of it being near at the highs, that's doing really nice. The QBTS, don't need to focus on that as much. IONQ is up 7+%, so that's doing nice as well, but that was more from the morning. Not as much, now at this point, trying to make a small bounce, but not as close to the highs. So for the meantime, at least, just with what's on the screen, the Rigetti, RGTI, and the QUBT. Just going to put those two on our watch list just out the gate to begin. Just those two to put them on our watch list. All right, but the star of the show today was the BMNR, right? BMNR, we talked about in our workshop, the Traders Talk workshop earlier today. If you had missed out on that, just another reason to follow us on YouTube. Hit the follow or subscribe button there. You get the, recordings right on our YouTube. Actually, as a member inside our live trading room, you get the full chat, the full commentary version of it, the text version with the call outs and whatnot inside the student portal on our website. But either way, the BMNR trade, great trade. I didn't get the entry I wanted, but it ended up being a really nice run once it broke higher, once it broke above resistance off of 16. Basically, flipped that into support right here and then moved up. I thought there would be a good case to see a 4-point move up to 20. Now, can it break higher than 20? Of course it did. It's just in the moment. To see it go from 16 to 20 after moving up as much as it already did to begin the day, you just don't want to be on the wrong side of it. You don't want to be on the top of the roller coaster looking down. So I wasn't trying to shoot for more than that, but it ended up giving us that much more and then some. So this actually flipped resistance into support right as we started our workshop, believe it or not, right here, 20. Crazy. Under and over, right off of basically $20, maybe a shade under. Now at this point, it's still more flat. If it pops during our meeting, I'll put it on our list. If it doesn't pop during our meeting, I will not be putting it on our list. It's pretty much as simple as it goes. Why? Because most stocks aren't up 500% in one day. So are we going to be that greedy and look for more? Are you really trying to look for more on a stock that's already moved up 500% in one day already? Not only that, remember what we talked about in our workshop, just in terms of the float. This is on like a sub 5 million share float, and it's trading 91 plus million shares on the day. Music's got to stop eventually. So with saying that, hey, prove me if I'm wrong, right? If this wants to pop during this meeting, I would love for it to. But otherwise, there's just easier fish in the sea to catch. All right, so I guess what that makes us do is just go right from top to bottom here. Any of the stocks that we did trade, did call out from the morning session, we'll look to recap briefly. Not too much to recap on ARTL. Actually, pretty similar to the BMNR. Focus on your $5 prices here, and pretty much point blank at $25 resistance. And then once it broke below 20 or broke below the structure, it was building. It was already shaky to begin, but game over after a point. So we moved on from this a long time ago, and from the morning we did. So Not much to really write home about on this trade aside from the pre-market move, but we'll focus on others. IPDN pop and drop. That was all the way throughout the day today. Lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and just keeps dragging down. This one's trying to come up a little bit here. GNLN. It's trying to prove itself a little bit. I appreciate the effort. Let's take a look at the order book. It's over the VWAP technically, so that I do like. Order book could fill in a little bit here, so I'm not really too keen about that. But you know what? I'll come back to this trade certainly. And right now, I can kind of see myself putting this on our watch list. I just want to see if there's even better, even easier to work with. KLTO, VOR doesn't look terrible. It's not really at the highs, but it's just building that base, perhaps setting itself up for a move later on this afternoon. 200,000 share buyer popping in on the bid. That's got to be very fresh because looks like this stock was chipping around below that 160 price for a little bit here. So maybe in the last 2-3 minutes, I can probably assume that VOR, you had a large order on the bid just pop up like a moment ago. So how about this? Little live demonstration here. If you had missed out on our workshop earlier today, Traders Talk, this is pretty much what we do every Monday. We're in our trading room each and every day of the week showing this. 1 + 1 does not equal 4, right? 1 + 1 = 2. So it's easy to assume that if this stock was below 160 about 2-3 minutes ago, and now it's above it, and you see this order on the bid sticking out there on my matrix, that means that order had to have shown up just very recently, and it did right here. So is this going to help propel this trade? Is this going to help propel this to make a new high coming up? Well, I think that we just know what happened right here. This just broke below it as I was talking. Looks like that order got filled. That order got broken through. The sellers came in and squashed that buyer, took him out. Not looking too nice now at this point. So if you want me to come back to this trade at the end, I can, I will. But for now, we'll move on. ILLR, pop and drop. SY, this is at the high of the day. I like that, but the stock's got actually liquidity checks out. Decent spread. I don't see it opening up here, at least just yet. Order on the ask at 333, 39,000, nearly 40,000 share sell order up top there. All right, I'll take it. SY. I'll put the stock SY on our watch list. I don't know what this company is. So Young International. International. All right, we'll keep it going. GNS right here, kind of bouncing back up right now. If you want me to come back to this at the end, I will. There's a lot that we got to go through, so I want to kind of just continue going pretty quick here. WBuy was a disaster. That was a poor pop and drop trade. The WBuy, I was hoping for a lot more out of that, at least from pre-market hours. All right, so Robin, ROBN. This is the Robinhood ETF. Robinhood obviously going to put this on our watch list at this stage. Hood as well as ROBN, as well as that ETF. The only issue is on the ETF, just because it's cheaper. I did think that earlier in the morning, before I actually checked, hey, when you make an assumption, you make an ass out of yourself and you're wrong. So I thought this had a lot more volume on the order book here than it really has. You got to be careful on this thing. Just because this still is cheaper compared to Hood doesn't mean it's like always the better play. We love TSLL because, it's cheaper compared to Tesla. But the real reason we like TSLL, when we normally trade it, is because of the liquidity factor. Just the fact that this stock or this ETF has like a tight spread, liquid order book. So going back to the ROBN, I'll put it on our list for now. Just I'm not really as much a fan of the liquidity. All right, so what else we got here? Let's find stocks that do have good liquidity. The BBAI trade, this thing's been a beast. Not going to focus on it as much for the afternoon, just more flat at this stage as you could see, but hell of a swing trade. We were talking about this from a number of weeks back, how this was coiling up, and as long as we see a local higher high, the test is to make sure that higher high flips into support, and just day over day, this was very strong. So great swing trade. It's been a good day trade when we've called it out. Shout out Kathleen from last week, was all over that. Also, shout out Wendy for the SoFi trade early this morning. SoFi was a great move early this morning that I'm sure we would have ran into at some point here, but ladies of the trading room cleaning up for us here and making all the good call outs for us. All right, what else we got here? BUR. I like the chart. I love that chart. How's the order book, though? Could be better, could be a lot worse, but it could be a lot better. Is this Burlington? No, Burford Capital. All right. Check the weekly graph here, the long term. Looks like some relatively, actually not even new. This thing's been around for a while, huh? Crashed before COVID even started. It's just been all over the map. So this is not really any sort of good swing trade. But whatever's going on here, maybe this is like buy the rumor, sell the news in terms of a buyout. Let me just double check here. Was that BUR, right? Buy the rumor, sell the news, speculated buyout. Is that what we're going with here? This is from this morning. Argentina ordered to turn over 51% stake in YPF to satisfy court judgment. Don't ask me, guys. Do not ask me. I do not know. I could barely read. I could barely make it through a few paragraphs here. So it's just to say, hey, we don't need to know why this stock is making a move. We need to focus on the chart. We need to focus on the volume. So for now, the chart looks like, honestly, sick. It looks really good. So I'll put this on our watch list for right now. BUR, I'm not as much of a fan of the liquidity, but this looks great, like a Fausto flag building here. EOSE, we do well on this stock when it's moving off of news or anytime it's showing good strength. So today it is. I actually had a sneaky day today. I didn't even notice this until now. So bit of a lower high situation though here. So, we're going to put this on our side list for now. If this makes a better move after 3 o'clock, once either myself or Rich are back on, then we'll call it out for you there. Lane, FFAI, another AI stock. Joby, EVTOL company, the aircraft company. Joby, Archer, both doing pretty well today overall. We'll come back to them likely tomorrow morning. Ondas, this one was more pop and drop. Definitely not as surprising to see that happen there. Had some good movement early on, but those stocks just keep a good eye on over time, day to day. Caramel, we'll call it. What is it? Is it caramel or is it caramel, folks? Maybe we'll do a poll question on that. It's my Long Island accent sticking out there, but otherwise, yeah. Critical Metals Corp, CRML. We'll give it its respect by its full name. But yeah, this stock looking pretty good. It's up over 13%. Definitely good liquidity, tight spread, lots of good orders out there. Even on the ask, hey, you want to see resistance sticking out there at 367. So I'm going to put this near the top of our list here for right now. What was this? CRML? Caramel? Listen, I got a speech impediment too. I'm like numerically dyslexic, and then I'm also just, I got a bit of a speech impediment. So caramel, don't judge. All right, let's see what else we got here, though, in the meantime. RZLV has been a decent little trade of late. Not much else that I'm like seeing that's like a great mover on good volatility. CIFR, nice moving trade overall today. Keep this in mind. We talked about the iron, Bitcoin mining nuclear play, but keep CIFR in mind also on the side as a couple of potential trades there with nuclear, with crypto. Run. I know Roberto called out Run earlier today. Just it's dropping back down now, though, unfortunately. You got Bull and Bull Z. Bull had a pretty good day today overall. Still building higher lows, technically. Still building higher lows. You know what? I don't mind putting this just on our list for right now for the time being. You got BULL, and some of us are doing the BULLZ. I think that's a warrant, if I'm not mistaken, not an ETF. But just because this is cheaper, I know it's up a lot more percentage-wise, right? But it's going to be down a lot more percentage-wise whenever that pullback hits. So just be very mindful of that happening. But I'll put like Bull on the main list to kind of represent both. All right, now at this point, folks, if there's anything else that looks good from your side of things, this is where I say we work together as a team. If you're on YouTube, if you're on the social medias right now, if you're inside our live trading room, kind of an all hands on deck type thing here. Let me know if there's anything from your side that looks good. We'll hop over to the losers list in between. A couple things getting hit with like a frying pan this morning. The JVSA is down 69 plus percent. Don't know what the hell went wrong here. What happened to this one? Just we're not going to trade it. Maybe if it was moving upward a lot more at this point, we'd focus on a potential dead cat bounce. Oh yeah, you want to see the craziest looking chart that I've seen in recent memory? It says WFF. Just take a look at that. Just let it soak in for about like 5 seconds. So just keep it up there. Let it soak in. What a move on Friday that was. Ended up going from like 5 up to 30, then back down round trip by the end of the afternoon. Then obviously even lower, but that's crazy. So you always hear me harp on like, oh, make sure your seatbelt's on tight. Oh, always set your stop after you get in the trade. Yeah, that's exactly why. That's exactly why here, folks. Now listen, hey, I got a lot of small cap stocks on here. So if there's anything else that looks great from your side, let me know. Some ETFs here I see as well. We don't really need to trade those. Just go. Oh, you know what? Okay, fair enough. I gotta jack this up a little bit here, this volume filter. But otherwise, folks, last call. Let me know if anything else looks good from your side of things. We'll come back to a couple side list stocks as we had said. If we remember those stocks. What was it that we had here, at least from our side list? Well, we said we'd come back to BMNR. Still kind of hanging out there, right? So, if you did well on it earlier, you know who you are, simply put, right? I kind of don't want to put this on our list just because, in terms of your eyes and seeing text on there, I don't even want it to be a distraction to those that are more uncomfortable following it at this stage. There's no guarantee at all that this is going to make any sort of move. And plus, what if common stock offering news hits? This thing's going to tank back to 14 or 10 within a blink of an eye. So if you did well on it earlier today, hey, respectively, you give it a shot. You put it on your personal list, and you know who you are at that point, right? GNLN. I did not put this on our list. I said we'd come back to this. Kind of shook back down for the time being. I'm not fully sold on it as of yet. VOR, another one we did not put on our main list just yet. We'd come back to. Same, a little slow, a little flat, not really worth the time just yet. We'll come back to it when we need to, if we need to. And Jobby dropping back down. All right, folks. So, hey, last call. Anything else looking good from Bill, Kathleen, Kevin, John, Phil, Joyce, any of us here? Bill, there we go. The comment of the day there. WFF equals WTF. And that Bill's not saying that's a typo. Bill is saying, what the in regards to that WFF trade, right? So, yeah, Bill, I agree. Absolutely agree. What the hell went wrong with that one? Talk about getting hit in the face with a frying pan. That's what happened to that trade, WFF. All right, so how about this? I'll check out Benzinga Pro before we call it a wrap here, folks. Just look at the scans that they have. Really good platform. We always appreciate, Benzinga Pro, just, partnering with them, and BMNR, again, like we had said, we're going to likely call it out and likely talk about it, but I just don't want to put it on our list because it's just a distraction to 95% of us here in our room. And if you're doing it on one share, then you're just having some fun. So just realize you could always just do it on one share. Just if you're trying to make real money, this is not the type of stock I have great confidence in at this stage in the afternoon. If it wants to prove me wrong, hey, there's been 100 or 1,000 other trades this calendar year that's gladly proved me wrong. So, it's just a matter of being more safe than sorry after a certain point. INVZ, RITR. All right, I'll check those out at least. Maybe there's going to be another BMNR trade, right? Like, this doesn't look terrible. Bouncing back up right now. Just, you want it to be even a little bit faster. I think RITR was the other one before we call it a wrap here. Yeah, this thing's garbage. All right, so what was that last one there? The INVZ. Not terrible. It's not my top choice. But if you want me to slap this on our watch list kind of just on the back end, I could do that. All right, folks. So I'll tell you what, that will pretty much call it. I'll pretty this up if you're inside our live trading room, just posting this early in advance. I'll edit that, just make it formal and whatnot. But hey, there's our watch list going into the close. The CRML, RGTI, QUBT, among plenty others. Hey, best of luck trading going into the close. We'll be back on just in about 10-15 minutes at 3:05 Eastern, shortly after 3. And then if you're on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc., hey, don't pardon the lower left. I got a face for radio. I normally do, but actually today, visiting the parents actually up in New York. I'm on a different setup, no webcam technically. So I'll be back in my normal scheme, my normal setup, webcam included, I should say, at least on Wednesday. But if you want to join us, you got a couple of ways to do so. Subscribe right to our YouTube channel, just down below at Cyber Trading U. That's our handle at Cyber Trading U. Otherwise, if you wanted to take the next steps, if you're on there routinely as is, and if you have not joined us inside our live trading room just yet, joining the 127 of us right now live, Barbara E, John W, Mike BP, you got my guy Andrea in there, of course. It's just Andrea, no last name required. It's just like Madonna. It's just Andrea there. No, I'm teasing, of course, but join our members, join our students live there inside our trading room. Go right down to the link scrolling on the bottom down below, c2.co/trial. And we look forward to seeing you there. But hey, best of luck trading either way. And we'll be back on tomorrow on YouTube. We'll be back inside our room, though, just about 10 or 15. Take care.